What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Thursday Millionaire Lunch, as I like to call it, with myself, Caroline Cain, and Michael Franke. As long as Michael's getting the auction stopped, that's happening right now. We will see him at some point, but excited to be back. We are here every Thursday at 12 o'clock Arizona time. And I just want to say thank you guys for showing up. We are here to answer your questions. I just drank my protein shake that I had for lunch. We just want to be available and help everybody stop more foreclosures and make sure that we are helping more homeowners across the country. While I wait for Michael to come in, I did get my good friend and my partner, Bobby, to be able to jump on here. He was out stopping auctions and enjoying a ride with some friends. So I'm going to bring Bobby up on stage here. But while we get a few more people on here to answer your questions, I will throw a link in the side chat as long as you are on YouTube. And you guys can come up here and ask us questions. So I just want to make sure everybody from Instagram knows that. So come to YouTube Live to ask questions. And I'll put that over there on Instagram so everybody can bounce in. And if you guys would, if we get enough people in here, we can maybe do some role plays or help you guys out. But with that being said, I'm going to bring Bobby up on stage. Bobby boy, what's going on?
Oh, no. Howdy.
Oh, there we go. I'm going to grab my AirPods because I think there might be some feedback when I do this. Let's make sure that we can hear everything. And put it into my...
Is that going to work okay?
Yeah, that's going to work okay. I just want to make sure I have a TV to my side, and I want to make sure the devices do not pick up my TV. So I just wanted to make sure. There we go. I should hear you in my ear now. Bobby, what's going on?
Yeah. Just got back from a very vigorous dirt bike ride. The leaves are in full bloom here in Utah. It was gorgeous. Right up above Sundance is where we rode.
Oh, perfect. Michael's going to be here. I didn't hear from Michael, so I didn't know if he's going to be able to bounce on. Michael, what's going on, dude?
Hey, not a whole lot. How are you guys? Bobby
Good.
Pink Whisperer here again.
Michael, long time no chat.
I know, right? How you were going to come kidnap me and take me fishing.
Hey.
I have yet to see you here.
If you're really prepared for it, I will make it happen. You have to be prepared to leave everything. Are you prepared?
Well, that's the thing about kidnapping. I don't think most of the time you're prepared.
I don't want to. This is a different kind of kidnapping. But just say the word, dude.
Everyone, this is an inside joke. It's okay.
Yes.
Well, sweet. I get all the boys back again. Well, Michael, I know that you've been super busy because you did just launch the niche community. How's everything going in there?
Good. Yeah, I've had a number of calls with the community, and they're all getting going with their data and the course and our meetings, and already had several people lock up some contracts, so that's exciting. And yeah, it's been fun.
That's great. Well, sweet. Well, I'm glad that you're able to bounce in here. I know you guys were busy. We've been stopping all kinds of stuff. We just got another property under contract Friday from a deal that Bobby spoke to, where the homeowner, she actually has a few properties. We are waiting for her to send over the land ones. She got one in Indianapolis that's in foreclosure from a hard money lender. So guys, there's tons of opportunity out there, and we want to make sure that we're answering and helping you guys help more homeowners. So if you guys did not know, Michael Franke, he's below me on the screen here. Bobby Siegmiller's to my right on screen. But want to make sure that we're here to help you guys. So what I'll do is throw in the side chat an invite link. So if anybody does have questions, you guys can jump up on stage with us and we'll be able to answer them. But while we're waiting for some more people to bounce in here and we can help them out, I mean, Michael, you're spearheading a lot of these deals. What's going on in your business? I know you have niche dropping. Are you guys still doing deals? I know you just brought on a few new door knockers. How are your new door knockers doing?
They're doing good. I actually have a guy that started 2 weeks ago, completely green in real estate. He worked for Angie's List before, so he sold like leads for construction and stuff. But he's working for me now and been doing this for 2 weeks, and he set up his first appointment last night. A lady wants to sell her house subject to, so I just finished before this call, kind of going over with him what that process looks like to go over the sub 2 paperwork, and he's going over there tonight at 5:15 and throwing his feet to the fire, doing that appointment alone. So it should be, God willing, his first contract. So that's exciting. And then I have another guy that set up his first appointment for Friday with a lady that's going through a divorce situation. So they're both doing well.
I like that. And then Bobby, I don't know if Michael's heard about this deal, but I wanted to, we've talked about it a few times, that Florida deal where you were able to negotiate down a $500,000 judgment to $200,000, and how the equity, earlier today, I was talking about some of our deals on a Zoom and how the opportunity play, especially with some of these homeowners that are in pre-foreclosures, you can build equity back in. I don't think we covered it last 2 weeks ago whenever you were on here. You want to talk a little bit about this deal and how you were able to talk, because it was not with the bank,
remember which deal you're talking about. This is a
Florida deal. Bobby was on here the last time you were on here when you popped in at the very end. So I don't know if we've talked about it on YouTube. I'm going to hand it to you. I'm going to let you talk about it. What is this deal?
I'll share the deal, and then I want to throw it back to Michael and talk about the Achilles heel in what we do, and it's data and getting information. And I want Michael to share with everyone how he has turned that Achilles heel into a positive in his product, because it's quite incredible and helping facilitate getting information and skip tracing. And so I'll give you a little preview there. So this deal was brought to us by a student. I don't think they've done a deal yet. And it was an interesting deal. She said, I don't really think there's an opportunity here, but wanted to, I have a willing seller, want you to talk to them. And guys like Michael and I, we see opportunities, and we see them a little different because we've got X-ray vision and we can see different angles based on our experience and having done this before. But if I were to write up on the board, or have Caroline write up on the board, ARV, which after repair value or retail value, was $400,000. I'm seeing a lot of comps come in at $350 on this property, but it's a condo in Florida. If you were to see that $400,000 ARV and a first mortgage of $50,000, and then there wasn't a second mortgage, but it was a judgment. So that's a little different than somebody borrowing money. It means they got in trouble somewhere else, did something, but it was a $500,000 judgment. So I would say most people would say not a deal, and they would just move right over that little shiny penny. What I did was I said, let me talk to them. Let me find out a little bit more about the judgment. What was it? And it was an oil and gas lease. It was an insurance payout. Come to find out, speaking with the attorney, it was a collection attorney. And I don't know if you have a place where people can chat here, but when you see collection attorney, what does that do for you, Mike? When you see that there's a collection attorney there, it's opportunity to create equity and negotiate and buy something at a steep discount, right? And that's what that experience brings to the table. So I called her, and she said, yeah, put in an offer. I said, okay, $178,000 is what I'm willing to buy that note, or that judgment that's leaned against that property. And they rejected my offer. And so she called me again. She's like, I'm so sorry, my client rejected that, put in another offer. So I put an offer in at 203, and they immediately rejected that. And I said, you know what? You're wasting my time. And I said, I'm not interested. Anyway, I showed them proof of funds that we had the ability to cash this property out and pay off that lien. All of a sudden, tables turned. She came crawling back to us, and she said, if you can close by next week, we will allow you to buy that judgment, $500,000 judgment, $203,000. Said, perfect. So I got them under contract. Got a full release on the buyer. Michael, you know this, sometimes they'll go after not the buyer, do we want to call them the seller? The seller of that property didn't live in the property. They live in Texas, properties in Florida. But I was worried that we were going to buy it for $200,000, and then $300,000 judgment can follow them. That's a dark cloud that can hang over their head for many, many years, garnishment of wages, kind of a nightmare. So I negotiated a full release of that. So problem one, overcome. Problem two, there's a first mortgage of $50,000. And I like lots of equity in properties. It allows you to make a lot of mistakes. So started doing a little research and found out that loan that was given was back in, I think it was 2007, 2008. Never has a payment been made, and never have they gone after the seller or the borrower. So
on this, there was never a payment was never made on this judgment.
No, on the $500,000, no. But put up there in a first position, there was a $50,000 lien against the property.
Oh, gotcha.
So they did a private money loan. The property was actually free and clear. So this is why the guy was frustrated. He said, man, I had this free and clear property. He did some oil and gas investments. Insurance company had to pay out. Insurance company came after them. And now they had this judgment, court approved judgment. So I talked to the first lien holder and said, look, you probably know this, but once you hit that 6 year, you haven't collected, you haven't foreclosed, that's no longer a lien anymore. You're out of your statute of limitations. You do not have the right to collect on that. And that's a little trick in a handful of states. I've got an attorney that any loan, first, second, third, that has not collected. Sometimes a mortgage gets sold to a servicer and they go out of business, and somebody else buys, that company, and five organizations down the road. If a loan has not been paid for its 6 years in several states like Utah, Colorado, I think Georgia is one of them, and I can't remember the other states. You could look it up. You don't have to pay that anymore. So I let her know that, hey, you probably know the situation you're in. I'm willing to, give you a couple $1,000. So I gave her $2,500. So we have that property right now for 203 plus $2,500 is what we're buying at cash. So we'll be in a first position on that property. The beauty is, I hadn't seen it sight unseen. I had this new student who was also a real estate agent at the door. And I said, we've got to have footage. I want to make sure we're not buying a meth house. Michael, you've seen those where we've got to, I said, poke your head and in the windows. And she said, no, there's a no soliciting on the door. I said, I don't care if it says no soliciting. You're not selling them anything. I'm buying their house, and it's a renter. So we don't care. So she went up to the door, knocked, looked in the windows, couldn't see anything. We finally got into the home. And when I saw the pictures, I almost fell off my chair. It is gorgeous on the inside, immaculate. The guy is a clean freak. He's lived there for 12 years. I was thinking hoarder house because that's what I'm used to. A lot of these foreclosures, beautiful property. And several of them have started selling in the 420, 450, 460 that have been renovated. So we are in a beautiful, beautiful position on that. Now, what we're going to do, so we've already wired the money. I'm actually supposed to go to the bank and sign the closing documents today on that property. The hurricane's blowing through. This is just north of Fort Lauderdale, but we're on the east side instead of the west side. So we're in a good position there. But once we close on that, the seller of that property basically said, thank you. You just got me out of a $300,000 mess. And by the way, here's my personal story. That's the first property we bought when we moved to the country. I want to buy it back from you. And I said, okay, what are you thinking? So they want to buy it back for $295 from us because they know it's worth $450. So I'm going to give them the first right of refusal to buy that property back from me. If he wants 30 days, they've got to put non-refundable earnest money down, within the first couple weeks. And I'm happy to do that for them. If they can't come up with the funds or they don't have the ability to do that, they just got a $300,000 discount. And I'm going to say, hey, we're just going to put it on the market, and we'll put it on the market. Let the newbie that brought that to us, who's a real estate agent, make a good commission, also pay, nice chunk of change on top of that. And we're in and out. So the moral of the story is, just because you look at a property that is in foreclosure, and I think Michael will talk to this as well, if the first is foreclosing and there's junior liens, second, third, fourth, beautiful opportunity to negotiate those down. And we did that for Caroline on one deal. It was a $55,000 note. We got it for $5,500.
Pretty cool. That's
anything
a great way to be able to build in more equity.
So create equity. That's the secret, is learn how to create equity in properties. Face value, it might not be there, but if you've got a little bit of experience, you can create equity. Oh, you're on mute, Michael.
Oh, wait, hang on, Michael. Go ahead and unmute.
Yeah, we had one that was in Greenwood, Missouri. It was about a year ago, and the seller had a large judgment. It was something like $220,000. He had a concrete company with a business partner. It went south, and that business partner ended up placing a judgment on the house for that amount. Ooh. So the guy was like, yeah, I'm just letting it go to foreclosure. I don't care. This thing's going to get wiped out, and I'll just be out from underneath it. He had cancer. It was a really bad situation. Oh. So I was like, well, have you called up your business partner from back in the day? No, they won't talk to me. So I got their phone number, negotiated down. I think I ended up getting it for 60. So it wasn't
Oh,
as
really?
big of a discount as some as you've done, but it
You know
was
what?
$160,000 off. Ended up getting that judgment taken care of. We bought the house, and I think the seller ended up netting about $40K at the end of the day, and then we flipped it and made about 60, something like that.
And this is a scenario. It's kind of funny when I explain to people, hey, we buy houses. Oh, you take advantage, of people. And I'm like, well, there are people that do take advantage, but you can't really force anyone to sell their home. And then you start telling them a story like that. They were going to lose everything. They were willing to walk, and you put 40 grand in their pocket. How is that a bad thing?
Yeah,
so
100%.
awesome.
And that's why these third-party stories are so powerful to put in your bank, because it's like the next time you run across someone that's like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. There's this huge judgment on my house. Other people have tried. It's a waste of your time. Or, well, I've got this big old Medicaid lien on my house. There's nothing you can do about it. Well, I've got third-party story. I had this seller that refused to sell their house because they had this big old Medicaid lien against their mother. And they tried to go through probate about 18 months ago. The probate attorney said, yeah, you've got like $400,000 in Medicaid liens. So they let it go. It was during a period of time around COVID. So they had the ban on foreclosures for a while. So about another year or two passed. And then all of a sudden, as Bobby said, the statute of limitations ended. I believe it was 24 months on Medicaid liens. So all of a sudden that huge debt was erased. And I was like, well, I just talked to my attorney and the statute of limitations on that property expired. You're good to go. You only owe like $105,000 on this $400,000 house. So we ended up buying it. I think they ended up netting at about $80,000 on a house that they wrote off. So these are the types of things that us investors can do for people to provide them tons of value in a situation that they've completely given up on.
Yeah.
A question for you, Michael, because I know we've talked about people wanting to make sure the right people get educated and do the right thing. If you were a homeowner and you're trying to decide who to work with, what would you have them look for to make sure they're reputable, they're a good company to open up to, and make sure they're going to do the right thing instead of, I know you said you've heard of other people doing certain scams and stuff.
So one of the most interesting conversations I have with sellers is after I've gotten a contract, right? I've gotten their house that's in foreclosure under contract and ask them, why did you go with me? You had a lot of other people reach out to you. Why me? And they're like, well, everyone else, they couldn't care less about me. One, they were trying to stuff their cash purchase agreement in my face from the very beginning. They were trying to offer me $5,000 over what I owe. It was just very pushy. They wanted me to just sign over my deed blindly and just trust that they were going to do the right thing. I mean, you can learn a lot about, why other people are not successful in this niche. And it's remarkable after all these years of communicating the way that I do things, people are still like, yeah, people were only focused on the house. They didn't care about me. They didn't care about solving my problem. They didn't care about my next housing situation. They were just forcing a cash agreement on me and trying to pressure me into it. So it's just amazing after all these years that people still take that approach. And it'll work every now and then, but you're not going to get a sustainable deal flow treating people that way.
Well, and also, I think to add to that, Michael, you probably have several that you've consulted with as a trusted advisor, and you don't get a deal out of it. You actually end up saving their home,
Correct.
and helping them learn how to do it. I think Michael, the reason I like chatting with him and sometimes we don't get the deal, but we do right by the buyer, and not everyone has that goal in mind. Their goal is, I need to pay my bills. I'm kind of desperate. I want to make something happen. And I just went into a homeowner's home yesterday. Local, had a guy text me, hey, local, would you go talk to her? Tons of equity, divorce situation, husband and wife still on title, restraining order against the husband, super sad situation. But I went through a couple of the options with her, the cash out option to this, and she really wants to stay in her home. I am not about to force her. She's working 2 jobs, wants to go back and get a nursing degree. And I said, look, once you get out of a home, it is so hard to get back into a home. Let's see if we can figure out a way to keep you here. And here's what I'd recommend. And you start giving them advice where they look at you and go, okay, why are you,
That's right.
why are you, this is odd. Everyone that's coming to my door is trying to take advantage. And you're telling me you don't want to buy my home and we're going to try this route first. She's only 15,000 behind. And I'm like, you don't need me to do this. Let's see if we can do a partial claim, stick that on the back of your loan. And if they have a decent interest rate, sometimes I'll call the bank with them and call the bank on the carpet too when there's a 2 or 3% interest rate and they want to do a loan mod at a 6 or 7. And I'm like, how is that good for the seller? I said, you just doubled their payment. We're taking that option off the table. I said, what I'd like you to do is take that debt, stick it on the back of the loan, 0% interest rate. Is that an option? Yeah. Yeah, we can do a partial claim. You know, we'll do that approach. So that helps homeowners. We just did that. 2 families that we did that with. And that way they're able to stay there and keep some level of consistency, get back on their feet. And I said, then all of the equity is yours. Try to stay in this home. If you can't, let me know. And I'll check back with you every couple months to make sure you're on top of it. But I mean, that's a better approach. And I'm sure you've done that quite a few times with people.
Yeah. I mean, I always tell this story. My best deal that I've ever done came from a house that I didn't make any money on. So there was a lady, she had lost her job, got about $10,000 or $15,000 behind. She got her job back, could easily afford the payments, but couldn't afford the arrears. So we helped her in that situation get a loan modification. She had a high interest rate and it actually wasn't going to hurt her any in terms of the payment. So low equity, ended up doing a loan modification. So she got back into the house, all was well. I didn't make a dime. Well, then that lady proceeded to send me 6 referral deals over the next 12 months. And all the deals that she sent me were outstanding. I think we attributed over $300,000 of profit from this one lady's referrals. So guys, I know a lot of you think that you got to capitalize on every single one. And like, what's the point of helping these people if I'm not making any money? Sometimes you won't make any money. You won't get anything out of it. But maybe you get a Google review. Maybe you get a referral. Maybe something will come to you down the line. Just a few of those Google reviews, like this person served me and my worst time. They didn't make a dime. They just did it out of the kindness of their own heart. You're telling me that people don't go check out your Google profile and it's like, oh, wow, that person stands out like a sore thumb compared to all the other people that I'm talking to. Yeah, I'm talking to them. So each one of those reviews can come back to you in a big way. And even if it doesn't, there's a lot of emotional income to be had from that. It's like you truly served another human being and that's worth something.
Do you ask the question, Michael, if they know anybody, or is that just somebody that came back to you?
Until that happened, I didn't. But then she started sending me all those and I was like, huh. I kind of started thinking, the bird of a feather flock together type thing. Yeah. A lot of times people that are in tough financial situations might have friends that are in tough financial situations. So for the last few years, we've started asking our clients, hey, if you have, someone that you could refer us to and we buy the house, I'll give you a couple $1,000 referral fee type of stuff. And we get one that trickles in a few a quarter, something like that. Yeah.
It's interesting. McDonald's did that with their Would You Like Fries with that. They increased their annual revenues, estimated, between 50 and 40% annualized revenue increase by asking that question. We do that with the homeowners. That's how the last deal we just did started asking her, hey, do you have any other properties or do you know anyone? She's like, actually, I do. She is an investor. She has 20 properties. Yeah. She's losing one, she's losing another. And I said, we're here to help. And she said, I want to get rid of that one. I'm like, great. But building that relationship of trust with them, absolutely critical. And then asking the McDonald's question, would you like fries with that? Do you know anybody else that could benefit from our services? The same thing we've done for you. Do you know anyone that could benefit? And you'll be the beneficiary of that because they have a positive experience with you. They have that relationship of trust. And so
that's good. I should probably train my guys to do that more. I know McDonald's trains their people because a few years ago I went in there and ordered a fry and they asked me if I'd like fries with that. So it's just
well, now you're going to
start noticing reflex.
Yeah. And then Chick-fil-A has their when you say thank you, go practice that.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Lindsay, yeah, they say my pleasure. I've got two buddies that own Chick-fil-A's, and it's kind of funny. Every time you go in there, my kids will say thank you just to get the my pleasure.
Mm.
You know, they have to say it. But anyway, I was on the phone with Lindsay. I was mountain biking one of the times. We talked to this gal and kind of got her teed up, and then I was fishing the second time. We talked to her and closed the deal. And she said she was recording the call, and she missed it. But that's okay. We still love Lindsay. But it was.
It's always the best calls that don't.
I got off. I'm like, that was incredible. Did you hear that? I mean, it was just like just flowing, and the chemistry back and forth, and this lady likes us, and oh, it was so good. Yeah, it was that fish. It was this big. If I only would have got a picture of it. So.
Well, I see some questions I see some questions in the side chat. I see Joe's backstage. Did you want to ask him one more thing about data before we got any further?
I do. Are you asking me?
Go ahead. No, I'll bring Joe up. Yeah, I'm asking you.
Yeah, I want Michael to tell you what he has created. So he's been successful. He and my path are a little different. I've done a ton of foreclosures as a real estate agent back in, I always say late 1900s, early 2000s. I've done hundreds of properties, wrote a book on foreclosures, never charged anyone, never done any coaching. Fast forward, we built a business, sold it, made a little bit of money, and I thought I want to get back into my passion again, real estate. I love it. And found this Michael Franke guy, but he's actually invested a lot of his own time, energy, and money into solving a problem that drove him nuts, was gathering data, aggregating it from all these different spots, doing the skip tracing, all the things that take us so much time. He actually built a product, and it's kind of funny. You hear the, by doctors for doctors, the advertisement. Well, this is by a foreclosure specialist, built by a foreclosure specialist for those that are wanting to get into foreclosure. So I would love to hear, and I just met Michael a couple weeks ago, by the way, but I would love to have you share with people what you built, what you're doing, why you're doing it.
So I started, as many of you have right now. I mean, I started where I didn't have any money. I was a teacher. Was nearly bankrupt myself. So I'm my own case study in terms of these foreclosures changing your life. But as I've gone through these last years and done hundreds and hundreds of these deals, I started identifying like what are the nuisances, the pain points, the things that prevent you from doing high leverage activities. And one of them was all this time I was spent compiling data. And it's kind of addicting. I know you guys out there like looking at this stuff because you're sleuthing and it's kind of fun. But I realized that I was spending so much time on auction.com and these attorney sites and different things. And it was like, I looked at the clock and hours had gone by, and it's like, I've not even tried to talk to a seller or knock a door or make a phone call. So I started thinking in 2018, like there has to be a way to automate this process. At the time, it was impossible unless you had a VA or something like that. So I had written up a what I call a vivid vision. There's a book called Vivid Vision by Cameron Herold, to where you're supposed to put out like what is your ideal outcome for your life? What would be the impact you would like to make? So I wrote out this like 6-page document on this ecosystem. I called it a niche list ecosystem back several years ago, to where all the data was taken care of, and there was a CRM that took all that data and marketed it out, and there's all these different resources to enable people to do deals. So at the time, I'm like, this is a pipe dream. This is insane. So I at the time was just using Google Sheets and just kind of kept letting people know, like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I want to accomplish. And a few years ago, I joined a mastermind called Collective Genius and learned some stuff in there, made a presentation in there that I put on YouTube a few weeks ago. And it's like, this is what I'm doing in real estate. I'm doing niche lists, and people went bananas. I thought it would be like a common sense thing, because this was a normal thing that people did in the 80s and 90s and stuff. They would go down to the county and grab some data and help people out. But people had gotten away from that. They're all doing PPL and PPC and billboards, TV and stuff. So people started realizing that Michael Franke is the niche list guy. Well, cue in my developer. His name is Rashad. And he had heard my name from a few different people and a few masterminds that I was the niche list guy. He came from an IT background, had been a software developer for upwards of 30 years. And he's like, I'm kind of getting bored. I'm working for the government right now. I started identifying real estate as an opportunity because all of the technology is prehistoric, and it's behind every other industry. So he reached out to me and was like, tell me about this niche list thing that you would like to create. So I gave him kind of an overview of what the system is that we were going to build. And we spent the last probably year and a half building the system to where in every county of the United States, all this foreclosure information is compiled at the county level and then updated with any change in attorney site or auction site. And now it blows my mind. I can just log in every morning and there's a couple thousand new foreclosures in there, and I can pan around to any market in the United States and be like, oh, 123 Main Street is in foreclosure. Here's all of the contact information for the seller. Here's all the contact information for the relatives. Here's any information about the property. Here's any information about equity of the property. And it's just all sitting right there. And it's been fun to watch the people in the community use it so far, because I think that everyone's got their data dialed in. They have a VA or something, but people don't. They just look at auction.com and pick random ones and go after it. So now they realize, wow, there's just an insane amount of opportunity in my area. I even had a call today with one of the students, and he said that they had cold called foreclosures for about a year. And I don't remember what data source they used, but he said their response rate was a little bit less than 0.5% on their cold calls. He said that they had calculated it, and since they got our data 10 days ago, they're getting like an 8% response rate from their calls. So
Wow.
it's literally a 16x jump on response rate. So I'm just trying to build some systems to where all of us can focus more on talking to these sellers, solving their problems like we talked about with these judgments earlier, and really getting these people out of a bind, and less time on data and administrative stuff. So
here's the key. I don't know. I mean, if you know, if you've done this business before, and I'll share this, and it'll help unearth, and then we can get to the questions, the power of what he's talking about. I used to go to the trustee's cell, auctions to that steps, court steps, and I would go with my check, and I would stand there early 2000s and wait for the sales to go, and then it was my turn to bid on the property, and the attorney would say, this sale has been canceled.
Mm-hmm.
What? What are you talking about? And it was so frustrating, and that happened a couple times. And then there was one I bid on. It ended up being one of my primary residences that we bought, but the lady that owned the second, she had that bidding credit to bid the thing up, and then I talked to her after. She was a scary lady. And then that's where I kind of met this mentor that was doing this. And I'm like, oh, I reverse engineered that whole process. There's a notice of default. It's filed at the county. People stop making their payments. That's the first thing that happens. Step A, step B, step. I was hitting like step F, the auction. Mm-hmm. And when you realize that you can, somebody doesn't make a payment, the bank finally gets fed up with it and files what's called a notice of default. And then depending on the state it's in, there's a right of rescission period to bring that note current. Banks are in the performing note business, not the non-performing note business. But if it's not being paid, you can reinstate. And then they advertise that. In my state, it's 3 weeks. And then they hold what's called a trustee's sale. So we reverse engineered that process and started buying from people at the notice of default level. That is what Michael's telling you about. You're not standing there with your check at the auction like I was. You're actually getting data, pretty close to real time. And I still pull lists from the title company. They'll send me a list, but everybody gets that same list, and then everybody's going after the same people. He's got, just look at it as a data aggregating machine that's grabbing this information and coming into that. So it's kind of cool what he does, and we've just been talking about giving us a sneak peek to help automate my processes. And I know how to do foreclosures. I've done a lot of them. I know how to stop the bank. That is something you now have an advantage over everybody else. You either want to be first or you want to be last. Right before the sale, they'll talk to you. Right, first guy knocking on the door, but everybody in between, I'm sorry, you're not you're not going to get a lot of attention. They're tired of talking to people. It doesn't matter how good your pitch is. So that's really, where you try to be. But anyway, go to questions.
Well, so there's a few now because everybody's now understanding the power of data and why data is so
I probably
important.
shouldn't have told that. Use the activation code Caroline Cain, and then Michael will have to buy her a McDonald's hamburger with fries for the referrals that she's going to send over. Right, Michael?
That's right.
I heard it recorded.
So Bert wanted to know, where is it a monthly subscription? How can people, there's a lot of questions. People said, do we get access to it? How can we find it? So where can people find out more?
It's not available to any of you. I'm so sorry for even bringing it up.
Right now, it's available to niche students. I do plan on having it be a standalone product down the line. But right now, we're a young software company. We want to identify, as users use it throughout the entire country, it's like, oh, well, we had 10 sources that we had in niche data, but those people had 12. We were missing a little bit. So we're backfilling all those little holes in our bucket to where my goal is within 3 or 4 months, we're every bit as proficient, if not more proficient than a virtual assistant. But at some point, once it is 100% foolproof here in 3 or 4 months, we will have a standalone product to where you can buy it by the county. But right now, it's just available to niche students.
There you go. If you'd like to know more, you can go to this website and say, Caroline sent you so I can get burgers and fries.
That's right. We want fries.
I'll take Bobby.
Maybe we can get you some filet mignon and upgrade.
Oh, crazy.
Now we're talking.
Right,
we're supposed to be seeing this product soon. So we've been talking to Michael, but from what they've showed us, it's game changer. It's going to turn this up on its head. I mean, it's the competition. There is none. So
it's pretty cool. Nobu. Yeah, you're right. Victor knows. I want somebody taking me to Nobu. All right. Well, now that we have some people backstage, I'm going to bring you guys up. I just want to remind you, because we are at the halfway point of the way this live is going to work. We are here every Thursday, 12 o'clock Arizona time. We'll answer your questions. We've done role plays in here. We've done some deal underwriting. The main point that I want to drive home is we help you help others. We want to help more homeowners. So if this is your first time on our live, just make sure you've clicked that subscribe button, turn on the notifications so you know when we're on here. I know Michael drops a lot of information on his YouTube channel. I have a lot on mine. We want to help you guys out. So we're also willing to help you guys get your first deal. Just message me the word data on Instagram, and I'll give you guys data that you can call. So we just want to help cut down all barriers to entry. But with that being said, I'm going to bring you up here, Joe, so we can help you out. So Joe, if in case you are on YouTube, just close that YouTube window, and the StreamYard will work. Perfect. What's going on, Joe?
Hey, everything. We're going along here. The last year and a half, my son and I have been concentrating on foreclosures. We've closed some, and then it seems like in the last 6 months, we've really struggled to get them to the closing table. The area that we're in, I'm in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and then we do deals also in Minneapolis, St. Paul area, and then some other states. So we've been able to stop the foreclosures. It's some of them, they don't cash flow. And of course, everybody talks about, we were in sub 2 or in sub 2, not where we are in sub 2, but a lot of those deals don't make sense even on a sub 2 basis. And so we've just been kind of struggling with putting deals together as far as finding the right buyers, not just in our area, but in other areas that we're doing this too. So, I was just kind of looking for maybe some idea of
some advice.
We can stop them. Yeah. Well, I've submitted a deal in San Antonio to you, Caroline, because you and Bobby work San Antonio, I guess, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, from the message that you guys had on the video, I don't know if it was last time or the time before that I watched, it was, if it had one of the 3 things or whatever, then you guys would be interested. Or
what are those 3 things? What are those 3 things? Say, what are they? Come on, don't leave me hanging, brother.
So you had cash flow or equity or what was the third thing?
You got this. Low entry fee.
Yeah, low entry fee.
Good job. You got all 3 of them. I love it.
Yeah. So that's what most people are looking for in sub 2s as well. And the low entry fee.
That's what most people are looking for on any deals.
Right. So we submitted it. It does have a lower entry fee under 20K. when you add the.
Will it cash flow?
No, it won't cash flow. Well, depends
Yeah.
on how you sell it. If you sell it on a contract for deed, it could cash flow.
There's different ways to make a property cash flow or find equity. I mean, cash flow, if you're holding long term, you know, that's necessary unless you need to write off and you're going to lose money every month.
Right.
But setting up a property that doesn't cash flow and maybe it's a higher entry fee. Some of these deals we're doing are, you know, 60, 80, 100, 200,000 entry fee, but they've got a boatload of equity. I want them.
Right.
I don't care. I don't care for cash flows. The one we just bought that we were talking about with Lindsay, she was smiling and dialing. Came across this lady. She's got 20 properties. It's a $3,000 a month payment, and we could probably get $2,000 out of it, $2,500 if we did a long-term rental. It's got equity in it, so we're going to service that for a month. We're going to put LVP in it, stretch the carpet, get it cleaned, and we are in and out. Great neighborhood. Caroline actually walked through it herself, videoed, and she knows what she's doing on the walkthrough. So again, don't turn those deals away. Now, if it doesn't have all three things, it better be what Michael and I opened up the call with. You know, it could be a judgment or a second or a third where we can create equity, but don't bring, you know, crappy deals that, you know.
No, I understand that. And so, but that's not the only one. We seem to be struggling with a lot of the.
So hang on, I want to jump in.
With equity. Sorry.
I want to jump in on the ones with equity. So let's finish that. New people, I've said this on Zooms, but I want to drive it home. Michael, Bobby, myself, we can look at the ones that are low equity and we can consider them. I'll tell you this much. Bobby and I just had a conversation. We have rentals. We're selling them. We're just going to get cash rich. Right now, we are stockpiling cash. We're just, I mean, Warren Buffett sold not all of it, sold a good chunk of change. He's cash heavy at the moment. So we're selling things. We're not looking at stuff with low equity. The way that the data that we're pulling, we're not looking at low equity. It has to have a minimum of 50 to 60% equity for us to consider it at all. Okay. So there's an automatic filter. We're not checking out anything with low equity. Anyone say something?
That makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. So everything else you have in your system right now, leave those low equity deals to people who are more experienced and are willing to take on something and can negative cash flow for a while. Mm-hmm. Now, coming back into your San Antonio deal, it could work if we can find a buyer for a contract for deed. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to look at it again. I think I remember messaging you on this one. It's not what we want to do is just get in, clean them, list them, flip them, and be done. We want to be in and out as quick as possible. That's the main thing. You don't need to go, you don't need to be doing stuff in San Antonio and Minnesota and Wisconsin and Arizona and Arkansas and Kansas. Pick one market and master it. If I were you, I'd start at the beginning and just go for stuff that has high equity. Because you know you're gonna be able to pay the homeowner really well, and you're gonna probably be able to get a good assignment on that, and then you can start stockpiling cash. That's what I would do. I only sent
it to you guys because it was brought to me by another sub-2 student who was in one of the 50 challenges that PACE has going on. So I was trying to help them. It's their first deal, and it's, you know, and of course, you know how that goes. Then it comes back to kind of bite you, and so you have to kind of take a step back and just say, hey, this is not a deal that can be sold. So I mean, we looked at listing it and stuff. So
I would rather not be in a deal at all than be a part of a bad deal, because that bad deal is just gonna suck the life out of you.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's 3 of us talking heads up here, but I want to make sure that we drive this home. Go after stuff that has equity. Pick one market, master it. Remember, if you were on a Zoom with me just before, I'm a flight attendant right now. In case of emergency, put your oxygen mask on first before you help anybody else. I appreciate you wanting to help other people. Let's make sure that you're getting deals done. Let's get you making some money, helping other homeowners. And then once you have a system down, you know how to do this really well, then branch out and help other people. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Cool. Any other questions before I let you go?
No, that's it.
Keep hunting, Joe. Okay. Keep hunting. Keep your filter out there and be a bloodhound, because the deals are out there. It's a numbers game. It really is.
Yep, I agree. Perfect.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming on, Joe. All right, we're bringing Lindsay up. Lindsay, what's going on?
I just have a quick question. It might not be quick, but we'll try. I just had a long conversation with the homeowner. She's going for a loan mod. She doesn't know if she's going to get approved for it. She does meet most of the boxes, but bank told her it was going to be 30 days. And trying to position yourself as a backup plan, how do you push on that? Like, she's hard pressed to stay right now. how do you position yourself with a backup plan while still trying to acknowledge you're going to exhaust all of the other options first?
I'm gonna let Michael take this one because Bobby and I chimed in last.
So that's part of the framework that we go over, right? We go through every option that they have, exhaust any type of follow-up question with each one of those options. Your goal is to get them to admit openly, I eliminate that option from me, and position yourself. Like, of course, we're trying to get them to subject to or cash. That's the reality. But at the same time, like Bobby said earlier, there's situations where it's like we're just not needed. And it doesn't make sense for us to do something. So I push them to, hey, go have a conversation with your aunt, uncle, friend to get a reinstatement money. See if the lender will do a loan modification. Is there some sort of government assistance that can put something on the back end of your loan? It's only when those things don't work. Like, for instance, someone says, well, I have the money to reinstate the loan. Okay. Do you have that money right now? Well, no. I'm actually going to go talk to my dad about it. Okay, great. When is that conversation happening? Sunday afternoon after the Chiefs game. Okay. What time is that conversation going to end? 3:00. Okay. Can I give you a call at 5? See how that conversation went. Many times they'll say, oh yeah, I got the reinstatement money. We're good to go. Wonderful. Hey, let me get your phone number. Well, I already have it, but let's connect, a couple months down the road, see how you're doing. Or they'll say, yeah, I talked to my dad. He's tapped. He has no money, right? And because I've built the trust by allowing them to go have that conversation, then follow up, who looks like the trusted advisor or the good backup plan? That is me. Then we can go through the other options. Reinstatement's going to fail. She didn't have a job. Loan modification's going to fail. Has no interest in filing bankruptcy. Does not want that on her record. And then it gets you to our ecosystem, of which we hope that they get to if other things don't work, cash or sub 2. But I always position myself as a backup plan. Please go talk to your family. Go talk to your lender. Go talk to your bankruptcy attorney. My job is just to kind of guide you through this, get you clarity. If those don't work, I'm here for you. And it's just a different feeling from the average investor that's like, here's my cash sale, sign it, or forever hold your peace type of thing. So I always try to position myself that way. And oftentimes I'm pushing them away from me. But when you push yourself away from something, well, it gravitates back to you if that option doesn't work. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. And do you position yourself as a backup plan in the first call? Because I feel like maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have done on a follow-up, because the last time she talked to the bank, she's waiting 30 days for their approval or not. And I was trying to hey, if that doesn't work, we're here for you in other ways as well. She crossed reinstatement out, doesn't want to file for bankruptcy. So just like you said, but I just didn't know when you inserted yourself as that backup plan.
I try to, if the people are open to talking to me, I want to be a trusted authority. I want to be seen as the person. I've done 650 of these foreclosure deals. My job is just to walk you through these options. I have all these different resources and things that you can do. Walk them through those options and establish myself as an authority. If for whatever reason there's doubt on their end, they're just not really sure, maybe they're terse with you and angry, I try to position myself as a backup plan. Please, I want you to save your house. Look at my Google reviews. Look at all these people that have said, Michael helped me save my house. He did not make a dime. I truly want you to save your home. Literally, I was in foreclosure in 2014. I know how this feels. I wish someone would have walked beside me, walked me through these things, and didn't have, any type of preconceived notion of this has to go this direction. So just let them know, please go talk to your family. Please go talk to your lender. Please do these things. I don't necessarily want to buy your house. I would rather you fix this on your own. If and only if these things fail, we can look at these other options. And it just creates trust with them. And then they go out and hopefully they figure it out. And if not, we're there to help them when the time comes.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Bobby, I used your flyer to put on their door.
Good.
So,
I made that up.
Hey,
That was,
fantastic.
But the beauty of that, why don't you explain to the group what you're talking about? Because we actually had a lady, this is legit. We had a lady that said, she was an older lady in Georgia on one of the properties that we reinstated. And she said, I'm getting scared. People are coming at night to my house, knocking on my door.
Yeah.
They're climbing over my fence. And it's a lot of people because they know there's a lot of equity. And I said, I got you. I said, what I want you to do is print this out. I don't have a printer. Okay. I still got you. We had one of Caroline's contacts print it out and go tape it on her door to deter. And what does that message say?
It says, notice to
Buzz
solicitors.
off, leave me alone, don't bother me again, or else. Basically, is what it says.
Yeah, for your trespassing.
Yep.
And what does that do to your competition?
Eliminates them for the most part.
Most of them, except guys like us that are going to go say, hey, I noticed this thing on your door.
Yeah.
Do they really know what they're doing? Are they a wholesaler? That's what I'd do if I saw one of those. I'd say, are they a wholesaler? Did you ask them if they can write a check? Because I can. I'm the guy, you know. So I wouldn't let that deter me, but it will deter most people.
Yeah.
So
we had a similar sign that we put up that, you know, the situation with this house is handled type of thing. Because most people don't even know how to overcome that objection. It's taken care of. 90% of people kind of freak out at just that. So yeah, those signs help for sure. Now, this is a master's class, but Lindsay, you could take that to the next level and put for any questions, call this number about this home and get permission from the homeowner. And then what are you doing? You're now creating a buyer list.
Yeah, that's right.
For future properties of investors. And you can weed through them really quick. Hey, how many deals you done? Oh, this is your first one. Cool. You're a door knocker for so-and-so. Cool. Thank you. Thank you. You're going to get some people that work for the people that actually write the checks and a little bit of networking. Or to add on top of that, you can become their buyer. So they're out doing the same thing as you. You're not going to get all the deals. So some of them are going to get deals that I don't have the money, I don't have the resources to close it. Then it can be like, oh, well, we connected before. I would love to buy your foreclosure deals that you know don't fit in your business right now. And then you can build relationships with those. And how much do you make wholesaling those when you get properties tied up? 10,000? Cool. What if I gave you, 12, 15,000 on some of these deals that make sense or where there's equity? Would that be, now you're creating a funnel where they're bringing deals to you. So
that's awesome. She would love that. She's 68, doesn't want to deal with any of it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. The other thing I would do, public bathrooms for a good time call, and then put Caroline's cell number on there. Okay, sorry.
Well, how did you know I started doing that to you, Bobby?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Lindsay, thanks for coming up here. Also, guys, kudos to Lindsay. She's been, you've been practicing. I peer pressured, I bullied Lindsay into doing some role plays one day. I am a bully. I'm a big sister. I bully out of love. But I got her to get on and do some role plays. You were a fly on the wall for too long. And look at you now. We got your first property under contract. So I'm proud of you. Way to go.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you guys. I appreciate all you.
First of many, Officer Moorhead.
First of many. All right. I'll set you free. Let's see if there's any other questions in here right now. And we're winding down on time. I know we got to get going. Okay. Megan asked this earlier. And I think it came up from a different conversation I saw. They wanted to know about reverse mortgages. So it looks like so she said, can we talk about reverse mortgages? Should we leave those alone if we're newer? And then Daniel came over here. Daughter takes care of mom. Mom is on title, but home is in a trust. They are in notice of default. Daughter said they are thinking of doing a reverse mortgage. Not sure how to approach this situation moving forward. So before we get started and answer all of this, what is a reverse mortgage? Because I'm sure there's some people that don't know.
Bobby, the bank whisperer. I want to hear your wisdom.
Bobby, yeah.
The bank or the reverse mortgage is something the devil created to put people in the worst situation they can be in financially. So we are buying a home that has a reverse mortgage, and don't buy those if you're thinking of doing like sub 2. I don't think it would work on those. It's not possible, but it's basically a homeowner, elderly, has equity in their home. They set up a reverse mortgage from the bank, and in many instances, the bank is paying them, or they have a credit line or something they can draw against that. So what it is doing, it's called the equity sucker, is what I call it. So it is sucking the equity out of that property as they live there over time. And in the case of the one we are buying, it has matured. They are the end of that equity sucking, what the bank will give you, and it is in foreclosure. So I have reinstated that property, closed on it, and now we are trying to get into that property. And this is all happening real time so that we can do some very quick, light clean out and put it on the market, because there's still some equity in that property. But in essence, I mean, Michael, I don't know about your experience with reverse mortgages. I don't recommend anyone go do one. It's kind of like a HELOC, but like I said, way worse than a HELOC. And really limits your options as an investor on those properties. So anything you'd add to that?
No, I would never do one. I like to buy properties that have them. The one that triggers me the most, I think about it all the time, property in Warrensburg, Missouri. At the time, we didn't have niche data, so we're using propstream or whatever to look at equity. It says there's negative $30,000 in equity, right? Wow. So my acquisitions guy is like, well, should I go out there? It has a reverse mortgage. And I said, what is always my answer to these situations? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So he did not go out there. The guy that I taught, my first acquisition guy, went it up and locked the property up. They actually owed $30,000 on the property. It wasn't negative $30,000. It was a reverse mortgage situation. But anyway, they ended up making about $60,000 on the deal. But I always go after those houses. The equity situation is hard to decipher with reverse mortgages. The information is just not good out there. But for anyone that's trying to do a reverse mortgage, it's not a good situation, not at all.
It's an elderly individual. You have to be 62 years or older to qualify, but it's a way for them to supplement their income. And in some, I'm being pretty brutal against those, because they end up putting them in a bad situation when they mature, and they think, okay, I'm 62. Well, what if you live to 90? All your equity's gone, and you now can't afford to repay anything, and it can be a bad situation. So again, not a fan. But it is going to depend on the home's age, the value, what they can get. But
short answer is, can you make money on reverse mortgages? Yes.
Do they have it?
Is the spread enough? That's really what you need to come back down to. And I'm just going to say this as a blanket statement: you cannot sub to reverse mortgages. I'm just going to keep it simple like that. It's just not worth your time. So I hope that answers your questions on the reverse mortgages. Not for beginners at all. Okay. I'm not seeing, I think we answered all the niche questions. Well then, I know we have 2 minutes left here, guys. Words of wisdom. Bobby, you gave a little bit this morning on the daily dial. What would your three pieces of advice you'd give to people be?
Different than the daily dial?
No, you can go with the same stuff you gave on the daily dial.
Oh, so that was an interesting, I had a wild hair last night. I was just thinking about life and people and increasing who we are, and being better, the 1% better. And I made a challenge to the people and wrote these three things down. And this might offend some people if they're not religious, and I'm okay. I'm not trying to be offensive, but the first one was 30 minutes of exercise a day. If somebody is a couch potato and you do a lot of TV watching, it's get off the couch and walk outside. If you're already a walker and you take your dog for the walk, go for a run, do some jogging, do something for 30 minutes outside every single day. So that was challenge number one, to get some fresh air. And there's a lot of data behind exercise, what it does to the body. I love biking, went for a ride yesterday and got to the top of this hill, and I was about ready to drop over the other side of Suncrest. And I know it's a 2,000 vertical foot climb when I do that. And I'm like, I don't want to do it. and I just thought, you know what, embrace the suck, just go. So I dropped down, and it was a party getting down there. And then it's just a grind coming back. That is life. I don't know about you, Michael, life is hard. And Caroline, life is hard. But what I love, what makes it fair for everybody, is that it's hard for everybody. And that's what makes life fair. So get some exercise. Second one, I challenge people, no alcohol or energy drink for 7 days, and see what that does to your mental capacity. You'll see less anxiety, depression, better sleep, clarity. We're dealing with somebody's asset, an investment that's probably the biggest purchase they'll ever make in their life. Let's try to get clarity from the inner voice, whatever you want to call it. But I was just challenging them. If you're a big drinker, great. 7 days. I'd love you to, and it was cool to see Lindsay. She said, I almost shed a tear. She dumped out her energy drink on the call. I'm like, yes. And it's just a little challenge. So 30 minutes of exercise, no alcohol or energy drink for 7 days, and see if your anxiety, see if your motivation, your energy goes up. And then the third one is read from the good book every single day. And bonus if you grab your family and go to church. And this is what I showed. This is my license plate. This is my front license plate right here. And a lot of people don't like to talk religion and politics, but I will say find something that's meaningful in your life. Get outside yourself and serve others. I have found when I serve others, it comes back to me tenfold. And so reading the good book every day for 7 days, just try it, experiment. Well, Bobby, I'm a Satan worshiper. Okay, I still want you to try it for 7 days and see if it makes a difference. See if you're happier in 7 days from exercising, not drinking, and reading the good book. And then if you are happier, maybe try it, you know, but just try that. So that was the challenge that I gave this morning. And I'm a firm believer, if you'll try that, you'll see a 5% increase in less than 7 days in how you treat your family members, your respect for the individual that you're dealing with on the doorstep. You'll look at them differently. You'll look at it from a place of service and of love and of compassion instead of, you know, the worldly perspective of taking advantage. And so my quote to close was this: don't let the world change you, you change the world. We have an opportunity to make an impact. I truly believe that. And it's our choice. We didn't get to choose the first chapter of our life when we were born. We were all born and we started at the same place, but we do get to choose the ending. And that's what's beautiful. We get to write our own story. My wife's dad was an alcoholic. I came from a large family, poor. Guess what? We both got to write our own stories that we're not going to do that, or we're going to do something different. Michael has done the same thing, and I know Caroline has. They're givers. And that's what we're challenging the group to do. There's something bigger than us. And it's fun to be a part of that and work with people and give this kind of information. So anyway, love you guys.
Thank you for sharing that. No, that was awesome. I really appreciate that. I like that message. We've done a few challenges. So I heard that this morning, and I wanted to make sure that we pass it on to another person here. And then, Michael, I'm going to hand the microphone to you before we end this live for everybody.
Expect me to go after Bobby on that? Goodness
We're
sake.
handing
your fire.
We're handing the Michael back to you.
No, that was beautiful. The only thing I have to add is you know, we've got to cut off all other possibilities but success in this. You've got to cut off any part of your mind that says, I'm not worthy enough. I'm not able to do this. I'm not able to serve. So many of us have mental hangups, and that is what is preventing you from doing these deals and doing some of the things that Bobby said, getting in the Word, going and exercising, focusing on more positive things. That can slowly start pruning away some of those negative thoughts in your head. And if you're willing to go out there and take the action, you will uncover a situation. Then you bring it back to Caroline or Bobby or myself. We help you through that deal. All of a sudden you have proof of concept, and then it all builds. Keep getting in the Word, keep exercising, keep hanging out with us, keep doing deals. And all of a sudden, a year from now, you're a completely different human being than you are right now. So
I like that. Look how many people you can impact just from it. So guys, Michael, Bobby, thank you so much for coming on here. What a pleasant surprise having both of you on.
Yes.
We are here every Thursday. You can message us on Instagram, everybody. Please, please, please. We do this for free. I got Bobby to leave his family for an hour to come in here. They're not getting paid to do this. Michael did the same thing. He's taking time away from his team, his children, his wife. He missed his wife's birthday to be on here one time. So please go give them some love. Like that button. Hit the subscribe as well. And we'll see you guys next Thursday, and message us on Instagram. So have a good one.